Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show. And now, here's Jeff Crilley.
Good Saturday morning, DFW. It's just a beautiful day with just a little crisp in the air, and the sun is shining, and we have a jam-packed show. We're going to be talking about everything from the secret to happiness to Fossil Rim and the wonderful work they're doing there. But we're going to start off our show talking about entrepreneurs and businesses and some New Year's resolutions every business owner should make, whether they're a startup or a Fortune 50. My first guests are with Riverbend Growth Partners. Don Osvog and Ken Farrell are my guests. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, first of all, talk to us about Riverbend Growth Partners. What is it?
Well, Jeff, thanks for having us this morning. Riverbend Growth Partners is actually two entities. The first, obviously, Riverbend Growth Partners, which is a fee-for-service consulting company. And the second one is Riverbend Growth Capital, which is a private equity firm, pretty much traditional private equity firm. And we work with clients roughly in the $5 million to $500 million range that are having issues with growth and profitability. That's primarily our focus. We don't go in and fix one piece of the business. We go in and do a study of the entire platform, and then we prepare a diagnosis, if you will, and go in and fix issues of growth and profitability. Most clients find themselves either getting stuck at a given revenue level. They're at 10 million, can't figure out how to get to 15, or they could have issues more serious than that, and they're 3 months away from being insolvent. And so those are the typical clients that we go after.
Don, let's bring you in on this. The tagline for the company is "Because profits matter." Why did you choose that as your tagline?
Well, we believe that every successful business is built on profit, and it's not just from the standpoint of what the owner or the C-level team may put in their pocket, but from the standpoint of being able to sustain growth, create jobs, be able to invest in the business, in the team, and things of that nature. The other thing is that it's interesting in the middle market, Jeff, because most of the businesses are privately held. And in those scenarios, the owners or the leadership teams tend to have the majority of their net worth, tied up in the business. So from the standpoint of, what's at stake, it's very different from a Fortune 50 or Fortune, 100 type of environment. So profits, a well-run business will ultimately create enterprise value, which is critical to the middle market, either from the standpoint of, when the owners choose to exit, for retirement purposes or for doing other things in their lives, or for creating interim liquidity events to be able to accelerate growth in the business.
I know we have personal trainers for our physical health. Do most businesses, whether they're large or small, need a business coach or a consultant?
Well, I think there's a lot of them that do, Jeff, in the sense that we've worked with over 120 companies, and we're industry agnostic. So we've had a wide variety of clients in almost every business you can imagine, and we have yet to find one that's not leaving money on the table. So, in some cases, if the entrepreneur starts a business and they're doing very well, it can become a lifestyle business. I'm making enough money to take care of my immediate needs and my family. But when we go in and do a study of the business, we typically find they're leaving a lot of money on the table, and that money on the table translates into enterprise value, which is the ultimate metric.
Don, when you come into a company and the company's in trouble, I mean, they're losing money. How do you guys turn things around?
Well, we've got, in essence, what we refer to as a methodology, Jeff, that we utilize. Ken and I, have been in a lot of different, large organizazations. As Ken mentioned, we've served over 120 middle market clients in our consulting businesses. And, every situation is unique. I mean, there's no one perfect or right way to run a business.
Right.
That being said, when we come into a business, okay, there are no two that are exactly the same. So what we'll actually do is we'll come in, we'll perform an assessment as the first step to get to know the business, understand the challenges, get to know the team, And then we'll be able to understand, what's required, ensure that we can help the business, and ensure that there's fit, that we can work together well with the leadership team that is there, and all. We will go in and do, as Ken said, traditional consulting engagements, fee-for-service consulting engagements. And we've also had a couple of assignments over the last several years where we've gone in and played interim roles to help, accelerate growth, build organizations, and things of that nature. But it's fun and interesting. No two situations are the same. We get asked often as we're talking to prospects. It's like, well, what do you know about the cloud? What do you know about this technology or that technology? And what we find, frankly, is most of the clients that we work with, they kind of have, I guess the way I'd think about it is the what nailed, the product, the service. They've got it. It's great. They're proud. They've developed it in many cases over decades. But what they're missing is the how.
Right.
So how do we engage the market better? How do I get my people engaged? How do I understand what's really going on in the business? And I think that's where we come in, and where Riverbend, from the standpoint of the consulting side, or as we work with businesses where we take equity positions, it's the same basic methodology. It's just a matter of structure being a little bit different.
Do you find, are you for the most part called in when there's been an event and they're feeling a lot of pain and now they're scrambling? I mean, I think about a Bluebell ice cream. I think about a Chipotle right now. Are you guys called in for the most part to turn things around, or are they bringing you in proactively?
Well, that is a common scenario, that what we're looking for with and explore with clients when we meet with them early is what are the pain points, and sometimes those pain points are pretty obvious, as you mentioned with Bluebell and Chipotle, companies like that. They realize they have a problem, and typically they really don't have the skill sets to look at their business objectively and put together a set of prescriptive steps that will lead them out of it. Then we can also sit down with clients that know there's a general issue. Profit is drifting. They're not growing their markets, and they're really looking for your insight and your help to identify the pain point and to be prescriptive. So we get them all over the place. We particularly enjoy those that are having a severe pain point, because we have to take our methodology, which we know how to execute very well, and do it on speed, because time is not your friend in those cases where they're having a cataclysmic event. But it kind of runs the gamut.
Just to pick up on Ken's, our methodology is kind of interesting. We through experience, not favorable early on in our careers, truth be known, but have learned that everything is really part of a system. And I would say probably the biggest challenge that most of our clients face is that they understand their product and service kind of internally, but they don't understand, how the whole business, really fits together, really operates, and things of that nature. Great example, we had one client that we had went in and they were in a space, service-oriented business, in a space that was expanding quite rapidly, sector that was expanding quite rapidly, yet their revenue was actually declining. So not only were they losing market share, losing business, et cetera. We were initially brought in to help them write a strategy. They said, we kind of aren't clear on where we want to go, how we want to get there, et cetera. We need some help, doing that. We went in, started going through, our process, and really discovered that there wasn't a sales management process in place. Mm. They had list after list of customers, but really no game plan as to how to attack them. We also looked at really the skill sets of the sales team, right, and found that they were phenomenal relationship managers, but not the closers, so to say.
Right.
So we actually recommended and moved some folks around, matched up skill sets, et cetera. And what we were able to accomplish after 4 months of implementing that plan is actually a level of new business booked that exceeded the whole prior year.
No kidding.
So here you had a scenario where someone says, revenue's stuck. We need a strategy to help us.
Right.
And it really wasn't what it appeared to be on the surface. It was really much more of a sales management process, skill sets, and things of that nature.
My guests right now, Don Osvog and Ken Farrell with Riverbend Growth Partners. Let's talk about employees moving on to greener pastures. I noticed that during a recession like 2008, 2009, people were just kind of hunkering down, and I'm just lucky to have a job. And I've seen some stories on the news about people dusting off their resumes and saying, well, let me go across the street for an extra,
Right.
$10,000, $20,000 a year. How do managers and bosses keep good employees in place?
Well, I think, first of all, they should have a continuous program of understanding what their employees are looking for, and then meeting their employee needs. They're in the same category as customers. You can't run a successful business with unhappy employees or employees who are looking over their shoulder for another opportunity. So they really need to understand their needs and address them and make sure they're paying them fairly. And what we're finding is that there's a company now that we're working with that we're fulfilling the interim roles. Both Don and I are the interim CEO and the interim COO, and people are starting to move. They're starting to get offers and so forth. And you just need to be prepared to address that individual situation to make sure that even though you have a program where you think you're treating employees fairly, how about this one? How does it match up against the market? Because what we're finding is that people are getting employed and job opportunities are out there.
The other thing, Jeff, too, I think that's interesting, and I had the good fortune a few years ago in my corporate life to work with the Covey Institute and talked a lot about culture development, employee engagement, and things of that nature, which I think are misused and misunderstood, if you will, these days. But part of what we incorporate in the process that we utilize, our methodology, if you will, is really encouraging clients to create a cause within their business. If you think, I think of my dad or grandpa, they went to work for a living. I think today, the workforce, if you will, really wants to make change, to be part of something bigger, to make a difference, if you will.
Right.
And I think it's, the ultimate leadership challenge today, for the CEO, is to literally figure out how to create a cause within their business. I mean, you think about how, highly educated the workforce is that we're blessed with, social media, which, changes in nanoseconds these days. And if you can figure out, how to create a cause within your business, you can do some really wonderful things. And a lot of, our methodology in terms of being clear on where the business is headed, it's called a strategy.
Right.
Articulating clearly how you intend to get there. Okay, that's called your annual operating plan. Okay,
right.
And then really doing what we call of creating a result-based culture of accountability and overachievement. So then what you do is you take your strategic plan, your operating plan, you link it to your reward, recognition, compensation programs. Okay, so that the messages are very clear, the direction is very clear. And generally what you have to do is get out of the way of the team because they'll go do some very great things when that happens.
That's awesome. Well, you kind of bring up a generational difference that I see happening. A lot of boomers are still the boss, but their workforce are all millennials. And sometimes there's a little bit of the millennial thinks the old guy doesn't know what he's doing, and the old guy thinks the young guy is not driven. How do you bridge that gap?
Wait. Are you suggesting that the beatings will continue until morale improves doesn't work anymore? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, it's interesting. I think you're kind of touching on an issue. Employees are extremely important. I think the theme today is that the tools of capitalism are in people's heads. Before, long ago, you'd go to work and you'd be in a factory, and the employer would provide the tools, and you couldn't replicate that. You couldn't. You had to come to work there. Today, what you do is primarily in your head. You're writing software, code, and no matter what it is. So I think there's a need to be dialed in a little closer to what's going on. Don and I joke about this all the time because, we come in with a lot of experience, and we kind of try to match up with all that youthful enthusiasm that you get with the millennials, and the fact they're very curious, and they're also very dialed into how employees are being treated and what your business is focused on, what's your community program, and things of that nature. There's a whole lot of other issues that need to be addressed. But I think the number one thing is if you're in this business, you have to remain open and you have to remain curious.
That's awesome. We've got about 2 minutes left in this segment, so I promised a New Year's resolution. I'll put you both on the spot. Don, if a small business owner or mid-sized business owner had to make a New Year's resolution, what would be like the most common problem that you are coming in to fix, and what could they resolve to do to turn that around?
Well, I think the most common problem is one of, a high level of frustration and just not knowing what to do. And I think the New Year's resolution would be to really muster up the courage, because in a lot of cases that's what it takes, to ask for help.
That's good. Ken, you got one?
Yeah, I think there's a need for business owners to have clarity around what is the purpose of their business and what do they want to accomplish in the next 2 years. We write strategy as one of our strengths, but we tell people we write strategic plans that are 5 pages long, because you want to have clear focus on what's important for the next 24 months, and how do you want employees to focus, and how do you know you have them aligned with what is your purpose and what you want to accomplish.
Fantastic. So how do people get a hold of you? What's the website?
It's
riverbendgrowthpartners.com, and
Awesome.
You'll find the not only the fee-for-service consulting business there, but you'll find the private equity business.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
Thank
Jeff.
you, Jeff.
When we come back, if you're an animal lover and you have a passion for animals, Fossil Rim Wildlife Center in Glen Rose has a Valentine's opportunity you are absolutely going to love. That's next.
More of the Jeff Crilley Show coming up.